What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Life After Strange right here on Player One versus the World. We are staying with True Colours again. I will have the absolute pleasure of welcoming my fifth actor from True Colours on here. It's none other than Exzinia Scott, who played Charlotte Harmon in True Colours. Exzinia, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, absolute pleasure having you here. Obviously, you play a very interesting character and there's so much to dig into. And obviously, you mentioned True Colours. I'm going to start very easy because I feel like, it's True Colours. And I'm going to take a page out of that book, especially Dr. Lynn. And, she asks Alex Chen, how is she feeling? So, Exzinia, how are you feeling today? Angry, scared, sad, or happy?
I'm really happy. I've had a really busy week, but so many great things have happened, and just had a birthday, just turned 29. So everything is good. Definitely feeling happy.
Amazing. Easy way to start. Happy birthday as well.
Yeah.
Still very young, so much left in your career, and obviously play a great character. And I'm going to take True Colours and put it to the side for the moment. I know people will probably be screaming, but we'll come on to that because I kind of want to start with you. Exzinia Scott, who are you? How did you get into acting? Obviously, I know who you are. I read up how you got into acting, but for the uninitiated, how did you end up becoming an actor?
Oh gosh, started pretty young. I want to say when I was about in third grade, I started doing Shakespeare festivals at the school that I went to, and at the time, the other people in my class were a little bit shyer, and I immediately took to it. So, I did a lot of Shakespeare festivals, and then my elementary school was actually closing down. So one of my counselors told me about a school that I could apply for next year, and then that was Denver School of the Arts. So I ended up getting in, and I majored in theater for sixth grade all the way through 12th grade. It was a middle school through high school. And it was a really deep training. It was, I got a lot of great training as far as, Meisner's, Stanislavski, pretty much everything that you can think of. So I kind of came to a crossroad once I was about to graduate. I kind of had to make this decision. Am I going to really take this on after high school, or am I just going to, go for a different major, do some regular college? I didn't really know what else that I was passionate about. So I just decided, let's just give it a try. And so I ended up going to a school called New York Conservatory for Dramatic Arts. Mm-hmm. And that actually gave me more of a training for film and TV, which I loved. And New York was an absolute great experience. I love the people, love the food. So it was awesome. I ended up actually coming back to Colorado after I graduated. And that's when I started working professionally. So I got started with an agency here, and have been working professionally for about the last 8 or 9 years, I want to say. So it's been great. Colorado's, the industry has been really good to me. So yeah, it's been an awesome experience.
It sounds like it, state to state, you've gone places, long career, loads of background. I even heard Meisner in there. We'll come on to that in a little bit. But an incredible career. And I kind of wanted to ask you, because obviously you said you came back to Colorado, you went to New York, you have a background in theater, you can do pretty much everything, a complete well-versed person. But what was the reason for coming back to Colorado? Because obviously, I know people who go to California, live the Hollywood dream, but how come you decided to come back and then work more or less in the Colorado area?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think I started to get a little bit drained by the city. Mm-hmm. And, I've grown up here all my life, so I wanted something different when I first went out there, and I definitely got something different. I think by the time that I was actually graduating and was figuring out what to do after, I don't know, just something about it was like, I don't think I can live here long term. It's just, it's really fast paced, which is great. But I think the type of person that I am, I love being social. I love being around people, but I also need some alone time, and I need some time to, find my own peace again. And I just wasn't finding it out there. And so when I told my peers that I was coming back to Colorado, they were looking at me like I was crazy. Well, you're in New York though. What are you doing? I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I'm just following my gut. I have this, I have this feeling that I would be happier in Colorado. So I ended up moving back here, and it was actually a really great decision. I don't regret it at all. Just because the way that things happened, it was amazing. Like, I didn't know what to do when I moved back here. So I was like, well, let me get a headshot and just, kind of go from there. And my photographer at the time gave me my first headshot, and he actually asked me, do you have an agent here? And I was like, no, I don't even know where to start. I'm just trying to kind of figure out the basics. So he actually referred me to my first agent, and I got signed pretty immediately and started working pretty immediately. And like I said, the Colorado industry has been great to me. It's primarily a commercial industry, but there's so much work out here, and I think there's a lot more work than people are aware of. So it's been great.
I feel like you made the right choice, because I would take Colorado over New York any day of the week, just because of obviously having seen what I've seen through True Colors, and just the state itself looks more appealing to me. But before we move into, address the elephant in the room, which I imagine people are probably screaming that we're not talking about yet, I kind of wanted to pick your brains about something, because I know that you have an extensive background in commercial aspect, and I think we'll probably touch on it a little bit. But, you trained in theatre, and I know that, Anastasia, Erika Mori, Jim Hunt, they're all part of the Butterfly Effect Theatre of Colorado. I was wondering, are you still doing quite a lot of theatre now whilst you're in Colorado? Or have you kind of are you just dabbling your way in and out of it?
No, honestly, I have always preferred film and TV over theater. I've always appreciated the training that theater gives you, just because I think it translates so well into film and TV. But honestly, when I graduated Denver School of the Arts, I was really theatered out. Again, I respect it so much, but I think in my heart, I'm not as much of a theater person as I am for film and TV. So if the opportunity comes up, I definitely wouldn't turn my nose up at it. Theater is such a fun thing to do. I think nowadays it can be very time consuming, and it demands a lot when you have a busy schedule. So commercial TV and film kind of works out better for my life right now. But no, I will always have a respect for it no matter what.
I can imagine so, and I alluded to it before, but there will be a fear element we'll come on to in True Colors. But, interesting about yourself, and as I said, people are probably screaming now, so I feel like we have to address the elephant in the room. Exzinia, how did you end up becoming involved in True Colors? What was your audition process like for Charlotte?
Yeah, so I auditioned for it back in 2018, and the audition process, I'll never forget it, just because it was just one of those auditions that I felt like was more of my style. And like you said, it did have a theater element in it. So immediately, the process, I was just so with it, just because, they asked you to prepare a monologue, and then they had a scene that they had you prepare. And I think right off the bat, what I really realized was the writing was so amazing. So just the audition script, I was like, wow, this, I felt like it was easy for me, because if the writing is, so good, then you're making the actors' jobs a lot easier. So me just coming in, doing the monologue, and then doing the scene, I felt like it was a great process, and I was really excited about the project. I'm not so much a gamer myself, but just hearing about the series, just hearing about it got me so excited about the project. And I was thrilled about it. So the actual audition, it went really well. The director told me, I really love what you did with the character. I really feel strongly about you. And it was almost like I wish he didn't tell me all of that, because I was so excited about it that, of course, I'm going to go home thinking oh, did I get it? I don't know. It really went well, but I don't know for sure. So it was actually months until I figured out that I actually booked the role. So I figured that I didn't get it. I didn't hear anything for months. So I think I didn't hear anything until the fall that I actually booked it. And I was just obviously so overjoyed.
I can imagine. So I know, I believe Stephen, who was on before you, Stephen Floroston, he mentioned that his time wait was long to hear back from this project, and you didn't think that you'd got it, and then lo and behold got the call. But yeah, obviously thoroughly deserved for you to cast, and it was great performance as well. And I think a lot of fans resonate with the character as well. But, you know, like you said, you got cast in 2018. It's so early in development. A lot of it's under code names, NDAs, everything else like that. But do you know when they kind of gave you a spec of Charlotte, and I imagine it's like a character spec of like who she was, what was your first impressions just off that?
Well, the audition script, I mean, I definitely got the vibe that she was a mother that cared like very much about her son. But one thing that I remember very strongly was when they came in, I think it was like just before we started filming, they went over the entire plot of how it was all laid out story-wise. And I was just shocked. I was like, wow. Because of course, you know, that moment in chapter 1 is very pivotal. So
we can go into spoilers, by the way, Exzinia, don't worry about that.
Okay, yeah. So of course, the death of Gabe, I just couldn't believe it. Like I was like, wow, that's chapter 1? Really? So it was just so captivating because the writing was fearless and it was so well laid out. And it really did give us a better sense of our characters, our relationship to one another, so that when we did start filming, we knew exactly where we were at. So the writers, cast, and crew did an amazing job with that.
Oh, absolutely. And I feel you with Gabe as well. Obviously, we were in the position to know that Gabe was going to die in the story. But when it actually happened, I was like, that was pretty brutal how they actually killed him off. So,
yeah, it was really brutal.
Yeah, it was absolutely. And, you know, just kind of going off that last question as well, you know, it's still in development. I imagine you saw Charlotte a lot earlier than most people did. They kind of showed people what their characters look like. What was the kind of impression of what you got when you saw what she looked like?
When I first saw a picture of what they gave me, it seemed like she was a very kind person, very down to earth, someone who was very relatable in the sense that, you know, she's somewhat of a younger mother and just trying to do the best that she can to provide for her and her child. And she seemed like a very bright spirited person, which I really connected to. I think like her character, just how she reaches out to the main character shows a lot about herself as well, just in how warm and kind that she can be. And I love characters like that. I love playing them. So yeah, that was kind of like my first impression.
Okay, yeah, and I agree with what you said, and I think she's a very complex character, very, very complex throughout the entire story. You know, this is, and obviously based off your IMDb credits, this is your first project in a video game. You're not a gamer from that background, but you go in there, you're doing full body motion capture. So I want you to kind of like take me back to like day when you first arrived at Deck Nine's in-house mocap studio. What was it like turning up there? Were there any nerves because you were going into mocap? I know you're an actor. If I put you on the spot, you could act right now. But were there any kind of nerves to do mocap and like kind of just arriving there the first day?
Yeah. So the first day, there was a lot of info that was given to me just about the equipment and everything. And so I think the first day they were kind of just setting up. Oh gosh, I'm so bad with like the verbiage, but just setting me up with the cap and putting, you know, the dots on the face and just doing the whole scan just to make sure that everything matched with the digital side of things. So it was a lot to take in. And just the first time putting on the suit was just so different. There were so many pieces of it. It was the first time that I had ever been in a motion capture suit. So just learning how to move in it, learning how to act within constraints was huge for me, but it was also so beneficial just because I felt like it made me better in a lot of ways. But yeah, there were so many things, just the layout of the acting space. It was so different. And I think it really did take me a while to adjust. I don't want to say like the first day of us running, I had everything down. There were so many technical things like telling me not to walk into a table because it's here, not really, but it's here. And just the way that, you know, that I had to move, it was so much info. I definitely probably felt a little overwhelmed the first time, but I think I warmed up into it eventually.
I can imagine it's not easy. And obviously, like I said, Stephen was the last episode. He kind of explained to me, like, how you did all the different poses before you even got on set. And he was like really taken aback by what it was. And to kind of just tap into that thing, you're not a gamer. You said that you're not. But did this kind of project change your perception of gaming, especially with like all the legwork you did on mocap, with the voiceover? How different do you feel now looking back compared to where you sat with video games previous to this, perspective wise?
Yeah, I just feel like it opened up my eyes to how many things are possible with gaming. And yeah, I'm not a gamer. Like the games that I play are like maybe fighting games, but this one was definitely unique as far as the story that was laid out. I think it was so much easier to connect with, and it definitely pulled your attention. And yeah, it was just one of those really rare, unique projects, one of my favorite projects to work on. So definitely gave me a different perception on gaming in general. It was awesome.
I can imagine. So it's always very different. Life is Strange compared to a lot of the other games that people have worked on. And, we're in mocap. I feel like I need to bring up the man of the hour, your go-to point of source, which would be Webb Pickersgill, the performance director. Great guy, Webb. I've spoken to him before. What was your first interaction like meeting Webb and then also working under him to bring Charlotte to life?
Yeah, so that first interaction, just that first audition, I really felt like we connected a lot. And he's so good at what he does. He's so good with giving directions, giving notes, altering things in just the right way. And I think we really grew in relationship as far as just having fun on the project. Like he's such a down-to-earth guy. And with the more emotional scenes, I think we really just had fun just exploring like every different avenue of where we could take it. So we had so much fun in a creative sense, and he's an amazing person. He's an awesome guy.
He is very much, and obviously with this project from Webb, I learned that he had a very fondness for Meisner. And obviously, you're not the first actor I've had on here. It's been very divisive when I brought up Meisner. And you brought up at the beginning of this your theatre background. What was it like when Webb suggested to bring this in, the Meisner, to kind of like implement it into the project? And also,
yeah, it was such a surprise. Sorry.
And also, sorry, no, it's fine. And also, for the audience perspective, will you just explain to them what Meisner is? Because I could do it, but I'd butcher it. But I feel I want to put it in your shoes to kind of explain it as well.
Yeah, so Meisner is basically a training of acting that its purpose is to help you listen to the other actor. Its purpose is to help you be present and in the moment. And so like that traditional exercise is I say something like, I don't know, like, you have a great beard, you say it back. I have a great beard. We say it back until something changes. And so it's just designed to give you a stronger connection with the actors that you're working with. And so, when Webb introduced that in the first audition, I was like, wow, okay, this is a different angle that I'm not used to. Of course, like in the commercial industry, no one ever references that at all. I don't even know if most of the directors know what it is. It's just, hey, improv this, do this, and then we're done. But the fact that he even brought it up, it just gave me such a great impression on him because he really cared about the actors that are auditioning. He really wants to make sure that they do their best, that they're in their most present condition before they even get started. So I was really impressed that he even brought it up and had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, it was really interesting because, like, as I've said, I've spoken to all the actors. The opinions are very divided on it. And I think, like, when I look back now on True Colors, I feel like it's such an interesting way to introduce something like, especially your character, the amount of scenes that you have with reaction, acting is reacting, kind of getting that vibe. I feel like it's incredible to bring something like that in and how it really shapes the game. So I'm glad that you like it. As I said, it's been hit and miss with some actors, but it's obviously, it's important to the project. And with Webb as well, like, he's in the mocap. And he did a lot of mannerisms with people. Like, I think with like Erika Mori, there was especially a lot of mannerisms. Same with Anastasia. And I think with your character, there was like a lot of emotional range you had to show. And I think like some of the scenes I went back here as well, I see like, Charlotte's got her head down sometimes when she's talking to Alex. There's so much there. I kind of wanted to ask you, like, when you were shooting with Webb, was there any kind of emphasis on certain mannerisms you wanted to do? Like maybe put your head down a bit lower, kind of like stress certain points? Because obviously your performance is great as it is, but was there, you need to accompany it with the body capture. So was there anything that he kind of stressed to you specifically during scenes?
You know what? As far as physical mannerisms, no.
Right.
I felt like he kind of just gave me a lot of freedom to do whatever felt natural. Of course, at the beginning, they kind of go over that with you, like, you know, what to look out for if you're putting your hand on your hip, or if how to cross your arms, things like that. But overall, within the entire project, he never really suggested certain mannerisms to me. It just kind of happened. And yeah, I just kind of went with it, really.
Yeah, I thought I'd check because obviously, like, the other characters more specific with mannerisms, and I feel like maybe your character wasn't necessarily like that. So I just wanted to check that. And obviously, like you kind of alluded there, was, well, he gave a lot of creativity and freedom to the actors, like, you know, really kind of verse yourself, express yourself. Like, what was it kind of having that director giving you that kind of like freedom and creativity to kind of bring your own as much influence as you could to the character?
It was awesome. I will say I was a little bit worried about the more emotional scenes because I wasn't sure how much I could pull it off. And I think I even had like a short chat about him. Like, he really sits you down and says, you know, hey, just let me know how to best work with you as a director, like what works best for your process, and, you know, tell me your concerns. And I think I did mention, like, yeah, obviously this is a really emotional scene. I mean, I'm a little worried about it, but also, like, I definitely want to dive in. So he acknowledged that, and he was just like, yeah, let me know if there's anything I can do to make that process better for you. And then when the time came, like, it just kind of happened. And I think that also speaks to how great the actors that I'm working with are, just because it's so easy to react off of what they're saying. They're so good at what they do, obviously. Yeah. So when it came down to it happened naturally, and it kind of surprised me myself. So it was awesome.
I can imagine so. And obviously the actors will bring in shortly, but I kind of wanted to bring Webb away for a minute because I give him so much credit for this project, and rightfully so as well. He did incredible work in the performance role, but yeah, he had a wonderful mocap team behind him. You know, I'm talking about Caitlin, Toby, Ellie, Natasha, Corwin. They were all there on set. What was it like having them just kind of there? Because obviously they were doing dots for you. They were kind of like there to give you scripts and everything. What was it like working with the entirety of the Deck 9 mocap team?
Oh, it was so cool. I mean, of course, the cast and crew are great. They're so supportive in everything. And the actors are just amazing. Steven was awesome, just working with him. He's such a great guy, just to talk to offset even. But yeah, those group scenes, you could just feel the energy in the room. You know, there was so much energy just brought from everyone. And it was just amazing to feel that and to be in sync with everyone in one scene. Just because a lot of those scenes, of course, like it's hard to match up everyone's schedule. So a lot of them are just going to be 2 people scenes, maybe 3 at the most. But those group scenes, everybody brought their A game. Like, everyone was so supportive of each other. And I think we were all really in sync. And it was so cool to be in the same room with them, you know, with so much great energy.
Oh, absolutely. And like the acting was completely top notch. And we're kind of going to go into that as well, because I feel like with Charlotte, your kind of 3 characters you really work closely with were Gabe, Alex, and Ethan, you know, and you obviously have Han Soto, Erika Mori, you have Ignacio, your kind of main go-to actors. And with that, we have Charlotte, she's separated from her husband, she's dating Gabe, she's got a young child like Ethan. There's a motherly aspect to the character. I obviously don't know if you have any children or not, but like, were there any kind of sources of inspiration you look for in terms of a mother kind of channel into that character? Like, I feel like obviously it resonates there with the character you built. Was there anything you looked for as a source of inspiration in terms of bringing that motherly aspect into Charlotte?
I don't have any children. I would say the strongest part of my inspiration would be probably my little sisters. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are times where I kind of have like a maternal instinct towards them. I want to protect them. I want to make sure that they're safe, and that I want nothing but the best for them. I would say that would probably be my best part of inspiration that I used, just as far as that motherly inspiration. But yeah, no, I don't have any children, but yeah, that's mostly what I pulled from. And I think it helped a lot. It did.
Yeah,
just when I'm around them, I feel like I'm sort of that protective person. I'm that person that is kind of like the older sister, kind of motherly energy in the room.
Oh, absolutely. And I can imagine you can see that as well in the performance. It's there in every essence. So top marks on that. And obviously, one thing that I mentioned then was Ignacio. He was a child actor coming into this project. He's a lot older now, obviously. We've come, so many years from this project now. But what was it like working with him? Because I know Webb suggested Erika Mori and Han Soto spend a day together to kind of get, to build a bit more of a relationship outside of the studio, and they kind of bonded over that. But I kind of wanted to know, because obviously you're an experienced actor, you have so much experience, but you have a young actor there on set with you. What was it like building that chemistry and then bringing that mother-son relationship together, even though it was a little bit obviously quite, their relationship was, what's the word I'm looking for? Distant at points in the story.
Yeah, no. Ignacio is so great at what he does. He has so much talent already. And I actually was a part of the process with casting other actors, which was pretty cool. Webb had me be a reader for the other child actors for Ethan. And so luckily I had that experience to kind of already build that chemistry with him. And I recognized his talent right off the bat. And he's just so natural. He's just so natural at what he does. Mm-hmm. I felt like he didn't even really need that much direction from Webb. And he just took everything and just kind of dove right in, fearlessly. And I would say that process of just being able to read with him with the initial audition, that really helped build our chemistry a lot.
I can imagine so. And obviously, as I said, it shows, it's great. And then I'm going to move Ignacio away because obviously another character, like I mentioned, Han Soto, Gabe, that character between Charlotte and Gabe is so important. Well, obviously, you only have that one episode really to kind of flesh out that character first, because obviously we know what happens to Han Soto, and it wasn't even that much, loads of scenes that you had together there. But I kind of wanted to know, what was it like, finding out that obviously Han Soto eliminated his character, but then you, as the character specifically, have to carry that entire relationship across the rest of the episodes and kind of show how lovely those characters really were.
Yeah, I think, the scene that we did have together, I think we did kind of build a little bit of chemistry, but I think after his character was eliminated, I kind of found my own process. Mm-hmm. And that was another situation that I had to pull from inspiration from my own life, and just working from that point of loss and feeling that loneliness and missing a person. It was interesting, to be honest, finding it after the character was eliminated. I felt like it was just a whole new journey that begun, which it was, but it was I don't know, it was so different. But Han, he's excellent. He's amazing. And I think that eventually I got there. It was just such an interesting journey for me. It really was. So I really had to dig, and I did have to find inspiration for Charlotte's journey after Gabe's death. It was quite a journey.
It was really a journey. As I said, you see them for the episodes. I feel like you saw those struggles with Charlotte. And obviously I want to kind of break into this, which is take you to a very interesting scene, I imagine, for you, Day, which was LARP. In the scene where you play Notheria as Charlotte. Take me back to the day when you got onto set for that, because obviously I've heard very mixed receptions with LARP. Obviously people were a bit like, this is a bit insane that I'm filming this. And then when you see it, it's incredible. But what was your day like shooting the LARP scene?
It was different for sure. And I didn't even know what that was before I did the scene. So I had to kind of brush up on my education on it. But when I really figured out what it was, I thought it was just such a cool idea. I thought it was so creative of them to add that in. And it was really fun just to kind of play around with the character and just find a different side of Charlotte as well in that scene.
Yeah, I can imagine so, because obviously they did the Tempest in before Storm the Deck 9 game, and that was very heavy theatre based. But I felt like obviously there's a bit of theatrical nature to this segment with LARP. Was there kind of a nice kind of opportunity to go back to your theatre roots? Obviously you said you moved on from it, but did it feel like you were kind of tapping into that a little bit?
Definitely, yeah. And just working with the other actors as well, working with Ignacio, it was so cool just to see everybody else's perceptions of their character. And it really kind of fueled my own inspiration as well. So it was just so much fun. It was, yeah.
Absolutely. And sticking with LARP as well, you know, with that scene we see towards the end where Ethan starts crying, Charlotte's watching from the distance. And like I said, like I appreciate her character in terms of like the journey she goes on, how many different emotions she shows. I have to kind of just ask you, is this the most complex character you've ever played in your career?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, hands down. Just the journey alone that Charlotte goes on is so in depth that you really have to find yourself. I felt like every time we had that shoot day, because of course it was spread out along the year, I kind of had to do my own digging again, like, okay, where am I? Where is Charlotte? Like, what just happened? And again, the cast and crew are awesome with that as well, just reminding you, okay, this is where we are in the storyline, just to kind of get you back into that place. And it really helped a lot, so much. So yeah, hands down, this would probably be my most complex character.
Yeah, and as you did complete justice to it, so it's obviously shown. I know a lot of people love Charlotte, and I'm going to take you away from LARP because I'm going to take you into a set of Another Day, which is obviously the scene after LARP where we have Alex with Charlotte, and you have that moment where you go into full anger. You kind of see Charlotte's emotions finally being shown. I want you to take me to set of that because obviously we're bringing Meisner, and there's such an importance of like feeding off Erika Mori. You know, what was it like filming that and getting in? Did you go into set with the mindset of being angry? Did you tap into a certain emotion? What was it like with Webb's direction? Did he tell you just keep feeling angry and yelling and screaming until he said cut, or when you stopped? What was it like just shooting that scene?
I would say it was very freeing. It was very freeing because I think with the whole storyline, Charlotte has so many emotions that she's been hiding. And of course, her being a single mom, you know, you're not always allowed to show certain emotions. You're not always allowed to feel certain things. And so with that scene, it was just so freeing to be able to unleash all of that. And obviously it's a really, really tough scene. It's a really tough situation, but just being able to unleash all of that emotion. And of course, the main character, you know, is really overwhelmed by it. But I think for Charlotte, you know, it was really a moment for her to be free in what she felt. And I thought that was very beautiful. And I was so grateful that I could be a part of that moment. I was so grateful that I could just, you know, have that freedom in that scene. And Webb did a great job with just directing it. And we ran it a few times, we really did. And I think it was even, you know, for me as an actor, you know, the first time we did it, I was like, okay, you know, I'm warming up to it a little bit. But by the third time, I was just like, you know, kind of letting it all loose. And it was freeing for me as an actor. So it was awesome.
Oh, absolutely. As I said, you feel that scene. Even I got the tough decision of what, you know, should I take her anger away, should I not? And just in that point as well, what was it like working with Erika Mori? Because obviously I've had the pleasure of speaking to her. I think she's probably the most down-to-right human being I've ever met. She's just so great. What was it like working with her?
She was awesome. Yeah, she was so supportive. And of course, she was on set a lot more than I was. So even in the times that I was struggling with all the technical things, I think she really understood me getting used to everything. So she's just a cool person. She's so down to earth as well. And she's just, she's got great energy.
Absolutely. And, you know, you mentioned there, you know, you didn't do loads of mocap sessions, but like, you know, take us through like a day of mocap for us, like your longest day, for example. What was it like? How long were you there? You know, how many scenes would you shoot? Just like give us a bit of an experience of like what the day in a life for Exzinia Scott would be on a mocap.
Yeah, so you get there and then your suit is usually all laid out for you on the actor's room. So you change into it. You want to make sure, you know, your hair is all tied up and good. And then they got you into the cap and everything. And we would do one scene and it would take a while a lot of the time. And I would say the most challenging thing was it was kind of hot in the room a lot of times. So you're already under like all these layers of motion cap suit, and then it's hot in the room. So it does take a lot of energy out of you. It really does. But they would usually give you a break in between if there was another scene. So we would just go and hang out in the break room, eat lots of snacks and have great conversations with the other actors and just get to know each other a lot better. And then eventually they'd pull you back in for the other scene. And the entire time, Webb is amazing. And like, everyone is just helping you to do your best. Everyone's giving you notes left and right, but they understand that they're handing you a lot and they're so patient with you as well, which I really appreciated. I really appreciated the patience. So and after that, I mean, you would change out of the suit, obviously go to the bathroom, wipe all the dots off your face so people weren't looking at you weird when you leave. And then, that would be it. And then we'd see each other next time. So, yeah.
It sounds eventful. Did you get used to the Velcro nature of the suits? I know people who sat down with it and like they would stick themselves to something.
No, I would never get used to it. It was so cool, but like I would be like every single time I put it on, like, man, this is crazy. This is so weird, but cool at the same time. Luckily they would help me strap in every single time because I needed help every time. Again, they were like so patient with me with everything, and I really appreciated it.
Oh, absolutely. And I feel I imagine that you must have been all wrapped up by the time the kind of pandemic really swung about March 2020. You didn't have any more scenes to shoot, did you?
I think we had one more. I think, there were a couple other scenes. I think that we filmed in 2020. So obviously they were kind of going back and forth. They weren't sure if we could record some things voiceover from home or what the best solution was. We ended up going in to the place and recording there. And they just, of course, had all of the cautionary rules in place as far as keeping a distance and sanitizing often, keeping the masks on whenever we weren't acting. So they did a great job with handling that adjustment, I think.
So just curiosity, like, I know that I think I saw like Webb and Colin were on like a Skype call at one point, like maybe just Erika was in the studio herself. Was it just that the actors are in the studio and then they were on a kind of call remotely, or was everyone in the studio specifically?
Most of the time, everyone was in the studio.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were just filming there.
Right. I thought I'd check. So kind of bear with me for this. So obviously, I mentioned it in my previous episode, I brought on Stephen Fuller Austin, and I had the pleasure of watching an end credit union commercial with him. And then in that, obviously, I noticed who the end credit rep was, which was yourself as well, which was quite a nice part. So, as I said, you had such a big experience in the in the commercial world. I'm just kind of curious, did you meet any actors prior to this project? Did you know anyone before you'd been casted? I know that you worked with Stephen on that after True Colors, but did you know anyone before this project started?
I don't think so. Yeah, no, I think everyone was new. Okay. That I was working with. Yeah. So it was great just finding those relationships with those actors, because they're all awesome people.
Absolutely. As I said, I've spoken to so many of them, and they're just like, they're all cool in themselves, including yourself, obviously. But I bring that up because obviously, you didn't know a lot of the actors before it. You built obviously a lot of relationships because of this. And as I said, Charlotte, for me, like the kind of main characters you really interact with are Ethan, Erika, Ethan, Alex, and Gabe. So I kind of wondering if I gave you the opportunity to take Charlotte and put her in a scene with another character, it could be the ones that you already have, and you could work a bit longer with a certain actor in mocap. Who would you pick and why? I would love to.
Oh gosh. I think just seeing the game and how it came out, I think it would be interesting for me to have a few more scenes with Gabe. Just because there's not a lot of them. And I think it would be interesting to see just more like the dynamics of their relationship. I think it'd be really fun.
Very good shout, and obviously I think a lot of people would love to see more Han Soto as well. As he's, we had a poor guy, poor fate for his character. So I'm going to get a bit more deeper into this. So you come in as a very prominent Black character in Life is Strange. We've had Black characters before, but this is a character that's seemingly appearing throughout the kind of game. But I kind of wanted to know, opportunities are limited for Black actors. I know that, there's still a kind of a push to get more characters available for Black people. But, what was it like to be cast in this game? And then, playing such I feel like a really great Black character. And I kind of wanted to hear your perspective on it.
I mean, I think Charlotte was so well written. Like I said, she's one of the most complex characters that I've ever played. And that's something that I really appreciate, It's such a huge compliment for them to give me such a complex character, because it was growing. experience for me, but also it's like, wow, you trust me with this character. That means a lot, you know? So it was amazing. I was just so appreciative of being able to be a part of the process, being a part of such an amazing story. And it's something that, you know, it's something that I'll never forget. It's definitely one of the most, one of my favorite projects that I've ever been a part of. So yeah, it was, I'm just so grateful to have played her.
Absolutely. And you mentioned it early on with the writers, you know, they're very wonderful. They know how to write characters. I didn't see any kind of like, you know, red flags about, you know, how they're representing Charlotte personally. But, you know, when I was speaking to Jim Hun, you know, he played Ducky, he said that he doesn't audition for like, you know, typecasting roles. So he won't play the old man who's dying in a bed. He's like, I want to play, you know, a character that's a bit more, you know, kind of fitted to who I am for my age. It's not like I'm just playing this kind of certain cliche or whatever. And I kind of want to pick your brain about like in the sense that you audition for characters. Are you always is there any kind of nerves about, you know, who the writers are behind a game, you know, how they're representing a character? Does that kind of like make you always question it before you go into an audition? Just to kind of get a gauge of it, of like a character. So obviously like Charlotte, I mean, imagine if there were quite a few stereotypes, I think you probably maybe might not have auditioned for this character. I don't know what to put words in your mouth, but is that something that you kind of take into account before you audition for something?
No, I don't really ever think about who the writers are on a project before I go in on it. And that's mostly just because, you know, what I believe is an actor's job is to serve the writing. So even if it's bad writing, I mean, that's such an opportunity for me to actually bring that writing to life. I see it as a challenge that I want to take on. And so with this project, of course, the writers being so awesome, they made my job easier. And I really appreciated that. But yeah, I never really say, oh, well, the writing is, you know, this and that. I mean, it would have to be very, very bad for me to like, kind of take a step back. But yeah, for the most part, I mean, whatever the writing is, I want to take on that challenge, and I want to have the job of making, you know, even if it's bad writing, look good. I think that's what, you know, that's a challenge that every actor wants. I mean, maybe not every actor, but it's something that kind of turns you on about the project. It's, you know, it's an obstacle, but it kind of excites you to be able to overcome it.
Absolutely. No. And like you said, like we don't have to worry about her being badly written because she's greatly written. You did a great performance on that. And just doing one more thing of this as well. I know that obviously Erika Mori's character was so heavily competed with, like all the auditions she did and everything else. And I don't know obviously how much you know about it, but were there quite a few people that auditioned for this character? Like when you were there, like were there casting other actors, or do you have any kind of like knowledge about there were other people who went for this role?
Well, I was a part of the process where I was reading for other actors. There was, I don't know, it'd be hard to put a number to it. For the part of Ethan, I know I probably read with a good 10, 11, maybe 12 actors, I would say. So yeah, there was a lot of people, a lot of really great actors. I don't know if I remember them by name, but there were a couple people that auditioned for the role that I even saw in other projects later on. So there was so many good talent that were brought in, and I don't know, like, of course, Ignacio like did a great job. He killed it. So he definitely earned that role.
Absolutely. We'll move back into mocap for a second because I wanted to go straight up with it and saying, what was your favorite scene to shoot in mocap and why?
My favorite scene. Ooh, gosh. I mean, to be honest, it was Charlotte's breakdown scene. Like I said, there was just so much freedom in that scene. Throwing the sculpture down, I was throwing a block across the room. And at first I was so scared to do it. I was like, okay, but I don't want to break anything, you know? Like I was really holding back, and like Webb was like, no, don't hold back, just chuck the thing. I was like, okay, all right, let's do this, you know? So I think that was my favorite scene because I didn't have to work as much within constraints. I didn't really think about my mannerisms. Everything kind of just came naturally with the dialogue and with the scene itself. So it was just so cool, you know, just being in the moment and then seeing the finished product, I was like, damn, they're so good at what they do, you know? They're so good.
They are very good. And I was going to ask you actually if the sculpture was a block or something. So
it was a block.
Yeah, it was never going to be a sculpture in the actual mocap. So yeah, no, great shout, great scene. And I'm going to take you into my favorite twofold question, which I normally ask every actor. And it's going to be yours is going to be, what is your favorite thing about Charlotte and why? And the second part of this question is, if I gave you the opportunity to change something or add something to Charlotte that Deck 9 didn't, obviously we're not taking anything away from what they did, it's great. But if you could add something else to Charlotte or change something, what would you pick and why?
Oh gosh, okay. So my favorite thing about Charlotte, I would say it would be her bravery to move forward from such a tragic event. In the scene with her and Alex, for her to even be that vulnerable in the first place, it takes so much bravery, you know? It takes so much strength to really say how you're feeling in a time, in a place where it may not be appropriate. And so I think that there's a strength that comes along with her to be able to move forward in a situation like that, to be honest like that. So yeah, and then if I would add anything to Charlotte, if I could change anything, oh gosh, hard question. It's a really hard question.
Yeah, this is the one which is you know, a bit more beefy, but first part was very good shout though. Bravery is a great attribute from her, very much well shown as well.
Yeah, I would just say, I think that she can be very understanding in a lot of ways. I would maybe even take that maybe even a little bit further to be even more empathetic. Obviously with Alex's journey, I mean, it's like, how do you even deal with that? So maybe even more, a little bit of empathy from her, just because, of course, she's going through her own challenges. But I mean, I love people that can see another person's perspective, even when they're going through their own challenges, even when they're going through their own trials. So I don't know, maybe a little bit more empathy.
No, they are two very great answers, Exzinia. Do not worry about that. I'm very insightful from your perspective of your character. So we'll move away from Charlotte for the moment, because obviously you're a Colorado native. We see Haven Springs in the game. I imagine you've seen it, watched it, played it. Everyone's seen it. I loved it. It looks incredible. But, you know, from your perspective as that native, what was it like seeing that? And were there anything that you kind of noticed that was really very, like, you know, Colorado-ish, like that we wouldn't see as someone, like, obviously I don't live in Colorado, but were there anything standout features that you saw which you were like, oh, they've really captured that culture so well?
Yeah, just like even in the beginning, just like the look at all the nature around. Yeah, like you said, I'm a Colorado native. I think for a good part of my life, I've kind of taken it for granted. And that's why I wanted to get out of Colorado. I wanted a new experience. And that's the same thing that kind of brought me back, because after being in New York, it's an awesome place. It really is. But just what you saw in the game, it's so realistic to, you know, when you go to the mountains in Colorado, it's something that you can't get everywhere. And it's something that, you know, I've really learned to appreciate just being from here, because honestly, I'm not an outdoorsy person. I'm more of a city girl. Yeah. I think just recently I started to appreciate, you know, going camping, going into the mountains, just experiencing nature, going on hikes and things like that. And, you know, I think when I first came back to Colorado from New York, I just remember like driving on the highway, I was headed west and I was just looking at the mountains. I'm like, this is so beautiful. And I don't know why I didn't even, you know, realize it before. I don't know why I ever took this for granted. It's so fucking beautiful. So, yeah, it's just one of those things that, you don't want to trade easily, you know?
Absolutely. It looks gorgeous. It looks, when I look at it, I'm like, and obviously they kind of did a behind the scenes on the Life is Strange YouTube channel, showed us where, well, the inspirations came from. So it was It was great to see, and I'm glad that you enjoyed obviously seeing what you saw. And I'm going to ask you, I'm not going to ask you if you wanted to reprise this role, because that'd be a very stupid question for me to ask, because you'd jump at it. But I'm going to ask you, are you optimistic that we might see Charlotte again? Because obviously with True Colors, we saw, Steph Gingrich come back. That was Katie Bence's character from Before Storm. Is there a bit of optimism in you that we might see Charlotte again?
Ooh, optimism. I mean, I'm always optimistic, but I really can't say. I always think that there's definitely more room for a journey to continue for Charlotte. I don't know how they would add it in a future video game, but I mean, if they did, I would definitely take it on. So, I mean, I love the character. I would love to play her in the future. So we'll see.
Great response. And we're going to move away from True Colors. I'll give you a bit of a break. So I want to ask you, what's life been like post True Colors? Any exciting projects you've been working on? Anything that's in the works at the minute?
Right now, I am currently working on a web series called Broke Boys. I love that project. I'm so excited about it. Other than that, some commercials that I'm auditioning for, but definitely looking to get more into the film industry. So, it's about it right now.
Okay.
Kind of the calm before the storm, kind of like just coming out of February and like everything's starting to pick up speed. So I'm optimistic about it.
That's the best way of doing it. Obviously, I feel like January is the longest period of 2022. I feel like it was never going to end. So yeah, right. It's early days, February. And, you said as well, TV, film, commercials, they're kind of your main thing. But, you got your experience doing mocap here on the video game industry. I'm just curious, Is there any itch to kind of get or to keep auditioning for in that industry, or maybe even have you audition for anything in video games, mocap? Has anything kind of like popped in your mind?
I mean, I would love to do video games in the future, mostly just because I've kind of acquired a taste for voiceover. Mm-hmm. So I love doing that. I feel like there's so much creativity, so much room for, whatever you want to bring to a character there. So I would love to do more voiceover. Motion capture, I'm up to do it. It's just, the voiceover would probably excite me the most about future projects.
And obviously you had that voiceover for commercial, and you didn't mention it before, but obviously as I do snooping, I do digging. Acting's only your first passion. You love music. You're a singer-songwriter. You do all that. Where did that love for music come from, and the kind of like the secondary kind of like pursuit of doing music whilst acting?
I would say probably my brother kind of gave me a love for music when we were a lot younger. As I said, when I went to Denver School of the Arts, he actually went to Denver School of the Arts too and majored in vocals. So he loves music. And so we would always just try to, sing together, figure out how to do songs, on the keyboard. And then it was kind of a surprise, but when I went to New York, that love of music kind of grew, and I started songwriting a little bit and started kind of playing around with music software. Started with like GarageBand, and then later started working with like Logic Pro. And like when I started figuring things out, I was like, this is a lot easier than I thought it would be. So I started writing songs on it, and I can't even read music. I write everything from ear, but just kind of like composing different covers and different songs. It was so fun. It was a great pastime. It was just somewhere, to kind of put my creative energy towards something, especially during the shutdown. There was really not much to do. So I just kind of played with music the entire time. And the thing I love about music is, you're the creator. You can do anything with it. You're not really working with any constraints. You can make whatever you want to make in any style that you want to make it, and any kind of parameters that you want to make it in. So it's an awesome thing to do. I love it.
Oh, absolutely. And I love music. So I'm going to keep digging into this as well. What are your musical influences growing up? Like, what's kind of like helped shape your songwriting and music influence? Like, who's kind of the go-to for you?
Oh gosh, there's so many. I really don't know where to start. Lauryn Hill, Toni Braxton. Also, I loved Pink growing up. Like, Pink was like that era when I was like 12 years old to like 17. I loved Pink just because she could do so many different genres of music. She
did a rap song with Eminem. Like that's one of my underrated songs for me.
Yeah, she can do R&B, she can do country, she can do pop, she can do hip hop, anything that she wants to do. And so I love that about her. And I love that she was just such a fearless artist as well. Like she will do anything that she is passionate about, and she doesn't care what other people think. And that's what I aim to be as an artist in general. So yeah.
And absolutely. And you just mentioned it yourself, you're an artist. You know, what's the best way to describe Exzinia Scott's self-made music? How would you best describe it to an audience?
Oh gosh. I would just say, you know, I do take a bit of theater, you know, in when I'm writing music. I'm trying to think of it as what is the story that I'm telling, what's the style that I'm trying to communicate it in, and the emotion is what really connects me most to it. So I would say an emotional story. I don't know.
No, that's very interesting, and I feel like you know, we've got a lot of music to talk about, and I'm going to bring Life is Strange back in at this point because obviously we had a really phenomenal soundtrack made by Angus and Julia Stone for it, and you've seen those scenes afterwards. You know, what was it like hearing the OST behind? Like, obviously, let's say for example, Charlotte's scene with like the rage when she's speaking to Alex. Like, what's it like hearing that sound that they composed in the background, and especially from the perspective of someone who is an aspiring musician as well?
It was perfect. I think it connected so well to what was going on. It connected so well to the emotion that Charlotte's feeling. And like, again, that's what I look for in music is what is the emotional connection? Like, what is it making people feel? And I thought that they did an amazing job with it. I thought they really killed it with what they composed. So yeah, I thought it was awesome for the scene.
It was great. And but before we head to the finish line, you know, as I said, outside of the OST and True Colours, you had a really great selection of licensed tracks. So you had like, you know, Dida's Thank You. You had MX Tune doing a cover of Creep, Kings of Leon. You know, there's so many in there. I'm going to ask you, you know, if as a musician, if you had the chance to add one licensed track to that video game, and what would you pick and why? You can put it into any scene in the game. Like if you could, I'm giving you freedom here, and I just want like, you know, one track that's like you could put on that soundtrack.
Well, like this, one of the scenes that come to mind is when Charlotte is just looking out into the water. I felt like that was just such a great opportunity to, you know, add any type of song that you wanted. It was just such a, you know, it was such a vibe. It was such a vibe. So, if I could add any song to it. It's a good question. It's just such an interesting scene that I feel like you could add so many different things to, but
yeah, I don't feel envious for the developers on this game because like some of the scenes that they have so much opportunity to add any song, and like they do pick great ones, but obviously, you know, you're spoiled for choice.
Oh gosh, I would have to look at my iTunes and go through that too. I don't know. Let me see. There's so many, but I don't know why I'm blanking on it now. I would say, okay, well, I'll go off of like an artist that I think might be good for it. I picture something really soft, but something really emotional. I feel like maybe even like Sam Smith, like a Sam Smith song there. It's very soft, but it carries so much emotional weight, you know? I could see something like that in that scene. It
would probably fit in line with the kind of music that they used as well. So very good shout. And, you know, as it was a very hard question. So
sorry.
No, absolutely. I put you on the spot there. It's a very like, you know, such an open-ended question. So, and you picked a great musician there to put in that. So we're heading to the finish line. We're here now as well. It's one of my favorite segments, which is the lightning round questions. Exzinia Scott, are you ready? It's not really a lightning round. Sometimes it can envy, but I'm going to throw you a couple of questions. I want your answer. So excluding yourself, say if Life is Strange True Colours was adapted into a TV or film, who would you cast for Charlotte and why?
I would say, I think her name is Gugu Mbatha-Raw. She was in a lot of good movies. She was in Belle, but I think she would carry that complexity of of Charlotte very well. I think she would do an awesome job with it.
Oh, very good shout. Very good shout. So we're moving away from Charlotte. Aside from Charlotte, who would be your favorite character from True Colors and why?
I would say out of everyone, I mean, Steph is awesome, of course.
Of course.
Like, I feel like it's an easy answer. Besides Steph, I might say, I would just say Ethan, because he's just such a cool character, you know?
Yeah, cool kid. Draws great comics as well.
Yeah, he draws so many great things. He's creative, and he has like such a connection with Alex, like, you know, right off the bat, like when she first moves there. So I would say Ethan.
Great shout. So we're going to go into Charlotte a bit more. So some of the personal choices in the game, you know, you have that scene with Alex Chen when she's talking to Charlotte. She's like, Typhon's offered her, you know, money and stuff. Does Exzinia Scott take the money for Ethan, or does she not?
Man, honestly, I don't think I would take it. No. If there was someone that I loved that much, and if there was even like a possibility that, you know, there was something like that going on, I'm not really a materialistic person. So, and I don't know, this may be just easier saying now, like if I'm not in that situation, but I don't think I would take it.
No, it's a good shout. I feel like I also told her not to take it. So I think that was the majority choice in that game at the time I was playing it. So obviously I feel like you can probably know where my next question is going to go. Does Exzinia Scott take away Charlotte's anger, or does she leave it? And we're talking about that scene with Erika Mori, with your character, and the sculpture scene. You get the option to take away the anger or not. Would you take the anger away from Charlotte?
Man. Again, it's like so easy saying something like when you're not in that situation, but
this was my toughest choice, by the way, in the game as well.
I know. I almost feel like it could go either way. Just because like we deal with emotions, you know, in these times that are so tough, and it really feels unbearable at times. And so I feel like we as human beings do things to kind of take away our emotions naturally, whatever that may be. But, oh gosh, I really feel like it could go either way. I feel like there's one part of me that would say, no, just deal with your emotions in an honest way. And there's another part that would say, you know, if I got to a certain point, a certain breaking point, like I might just take the out. So if I absolutely had to pick one or the other, I would say I would keep it. I would keep the anger. I don't know how I would get through it in that situation. I mean, I've dealt with my own loss in the past, but I think going through the loss that I've gone through in my life, I've really realized how important it is to deal with your emotions in an honest way. And I would do my best to heal, you know, in a natural way. But yeah, I think just going off of the experience that I've had, I would try to keep it, and I would just try and get through it in my own way.
That's a good shout. I took the anger away from Charlotte, and I regretted that later on as I found out in the game. I was like, oh, like maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, it was my choice.
So what's one song Exzinia hasn't covered yet, but she'd love to?
A song that I haven't covered yet?
Yeah.
One that I started and didn't finish, which I am trying, I'm going to try to, is Michael Jackson's They Don't Really Care About Us.
Oh, wow. I haven't heard Michael Jackson for a long time, but that is a very good shout.
Yeah, I started it probably like months ago, and I got busy and I didn't finish it, but I want to so bad because I want to take a different angle on it.
Absolutely, and you should definitely go back to that. Would be a 100% listen. And final one we're going to go with, which is any franchise you'd love to work on. We're talking about video game, film, TV, any established series you'd love to work on before you're like done with before you're done with acting.
Avatar,
really?
I know it's probably not going to happen, but if I could. Oh gosh, it'd be so fun. It'd be so fun being like one of the natives.
Oh, it's a very good shot. That was a straight up response as well. And
yeah, I love it. And Zoe Saldana, she takes all my parts. Like, no. It would be such a fun project to work on. Of course, like they use motion capture as well. And there's just so much depth in that project, you know? It'd be amazing. I've always wanted to be like an Amazon or something like that, you know? So yeah, Avatar.
Yeah. Great shout. And Exzinia, we're at the end of the show, so thank you for coming on. And I hope everyone enjoyed watching as well. If you're on YouTube, please do leave me a like, subscribe, and comment on the YouTube channel. It helps with, obviously, algorithms. Exzinia, thank you so much for coming on. Absolute pleasure having you here. It was great to talk about Charlotte. There was so much there to unpackage. And yeah, guys, stay tuned. There'll be more Life After Strange to come. I had a wonderful guest on today. More to come. So see you later, guys.
Thank you so much.